What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Talkin Football podcast. There's a lot of stuff going on in the sports world today, but obviously not a lot of football-related stuff. Obviously, we have the NBA playoffs going on. The NBA finals actually are going on right now. We have the Stanley Cup finals going on. We have MLB. They're starting to get close to the All-Star break. The NFL, not a lot going on. We obviously have mini camps going on, OTAs, like that kind of stuff. But other than that, we don't really have a lot of stuff going on. So it's obviously a very, very dry period, and we're trying to get content out as quick as we possibly can. Obviously, today we will be talking about 5 quarterbacks that are under a lot of pressure, as you can tell by the title. I hope you guys enjoy, and let's just get right into it. So we're going to start off with the number one QB under a lot of pressure, and that's obviously Dak Prescott. It's been this way for many years, and this year it is the highest it's been. Dak Prescott is coming off a year where he was injured, and let's talk about his stats. So last year, he played in 8 games, 64.7 completion percentage, which isn't it's average. It's all right. It's pretty good. 1,978 passing yards, 11 touchdowns to 8 picks, which is actually way worse than I thought it was. I didn't think he was this bad in terms of the touchdown interception ratio, and 86 passer rating there on the dot for Dak Prescott. So overall, it's statistically he wasn't horrible. I guess on pace for roughly 4,000 passing yards. That touchdown to interception ratio is probably not super accurate there. He probably would have ended with more than 22 touchdowns and I guess 16 picks there. He probably would have ended with higher than that. But this is a team that really is interesting. This is the worst Cowboys team that they've produced in a very, very long time. They did nothing in free agency other than add a couple running backs. The draft was, it was all right, I guess. It not going to blow your mind there. Obviously, they lost a lot of their key players, and in free agency that I talked about in NFC East free agency preview, this is a team that is not going to blow you away, and this is coming to a year where Dak Prescott, he needs CeeDee Lamb to really deliver. This is a team that they really that he needs to lead. He's not going to have it led for him. This is under first year head coach Brian Schottenheimer. He hasn't had to carry a team like this in a very, very long time. When he came into the league in 2016, he had a very good system, a very quarterback-friendly system. Obviously, Ezekiel Elliott, when he was in his prime, he was good. And he's always had a reliable running back. This year, I like Javonte Williams. I do. I don't know if I trust him totally. I believe that you still have Rico Dowdle, right? And I'm still it's just really weird. And I don't think CeeDee Lamb is good enough to carry the load, and it's not necessarily disrespect on him. It's just they need someone else to be able to do that. And I just don't know who that person would be. They obviously have a lot of question marks there. I thought they would go after Emeka Egbuka in the draft. They did not, which kind of sets up an awkward scenario for Dak because he desperately needs another offensive skill position that I don't believe that they have. I know they drafted an offensive lineman. They took Tyler Booker in the first round, if I'm not mistaken. So that was obviously an interesting pick there. There's a lot of different ways that they need to deliver with Dak. He has been really interesting to watch over this last few years. He's done enough to make them a playoff team, but this year he really needs to do a lot. He's under a lot of pressure entering this season. It's notable how much it is. This is not going to be a season where you see Dak Prescott going, 4,500 yards, 40 touchdowns, maybe 10 picks. That's not how it's going to be. This is a year where you need Dak Prescott to do that's the bare minimum he needs to do there. He needs to do a lot more than that to make Dallas a playoff-worthy team. I don't see them as a playoff team at this point. I don't think they're good enough. I think there's too many holes. They're probably going to have to kind of reconstruct their team a little bit better. I don't know what the lack of urgency is with them. In terms of free agency, what fans expect. These are the fans that are storming into AT&T for every single game. They could be playing the freaking Saints, and they're still lining up. And when the doors open, they are storming into AT&T Stadium. But this year, I don't know if it's going to be like that because this is a team that needs Dak Prescott to deliver. No ifs, ands, or buts. He's under a ton of pressure. newish system, new philosophy, I should say. And especially when you are coming into a season where your head coach, when you are 30, making $60 million a year based on your contract, and your head coach says, yeah, he's still developing, that is kind of disrespectful. I mean, and at least in my opinion, I'm not taking that. I mean, I think that's definitely goes to show what the team themselves think of Dak. I think the contract is still ludicrous. I mean, the fact that he got that much is insane considering his lack of playoff success. But definitely number one across the board, it's got to be Prescott in terms of who is under the most pressure. I think there's no one else that has more pressure on him than Dak Prescott entering this season, given he only has really CeeDee Lamb. I mean, offensive line's all right. I don't really believe in this team to really come out and like deliver as we would like them to, or not me. Obviously, I'm a Giants fan, but I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens there. Number two is Tua. Tua is coming off a season where, again, he got the injury bug with the concussions. He's got to figure out a way to stop that. He has shown a lack of, or maybe not a lack of, he's shown reluctancy to using the Guardian cap, which I don't understand why. I know his helmet is supposed to help with that. I still don't really quite get why he wouldn't want to wear a Guardian cap, considering his extensive history in terms of concussions. But I guess we'll have to see how that kind of works out. Last year, 11 games played. Obviously, had the concussion injury. He got slammed on Thursday Night Football in Week 2. In those 11 games, 72.9% completion percentage, which is very good. I mean, his completion percentage is very high. Granted, a lot of checkdowns, a lot of checkdowns. Wasn't as aggressive as we usually saw him, and I think that's definitely something that I'm concerned. If I'm a Dolphins fan, I'm very concerned about that entering this season. Why he was so unaggressive. The lack of aggressiveness needs to change, especially when you have a team with Hill, with Waddle, with Achane. You're going to need to develop a little bit more there in that area. 2,000. I'm a little bit shy of 3,000 passing yards. So, I mean, figure he probably had around a quarter of the season left. So, I mean, he's on pace, statistically on pace for a pretty good season. I think if he played the entire year, obviously 19-7 in terms of the touchdowns to picks, and a 101.4 passer rating, which is pretty solid. Not going to blow you. I mean, compared to Dak's 86, right, on the pass slide. Yeah, Dak's had an 86. So compared to Dak, it's much better. And statistically, he was good last season. The main concern with him is the lack of aggression. I mean, I saw a lot of checkdowns, and I know, obviously, I'm a big fantasy nerd. So when we're watching Tua and every play red zone goes on, but all the Dolphins third and 8, and he's a check down to Achane for like a yard. It's like, okay, well, that's kind of boring. What happened to this team that used to be really aggressive? They used to be high flying, but now obviously they can't really get off the ground because Tua is so reluctant to go deep. I don't really know what happened there. Is it that he wants to maybe brace for a big hit better, so he wants to get rid of it? Is he scared? I think that's definitely something that needs to be addressed this offseason as we get closer to the preseason with Tua. Now, this is a team that went 8-9 last year. They were okay. They were not a team that was going to blow you away. Tyreek had a down year. Waddle was kind of Achane was great, obviously, but I think overall as a team, they were very mediocre after making the playoffs 2 years ago. This is a team that needs to kind of regroup, and it starts here with Tua. He's under a lot of pressure, in my opinion, to get this team going. I mean, they need to start out of the gate 2-1, 3-1, 4-2. That's the way. That's the bridge to making the playoffs. If they don't start that way, I don't think that they'll make the playoffs. I don't know their schedule, obviously, at the top of my head, but Tua is the guy who needs to deliver. And if he doesn't, then we need to have a serious conversation about whether or not the Dolphins should maybe go after a quarterback in the offseason, because he has shown that, and obviously concussions are serious and health is number one, but he has shown, I'm not going to step away from this game. I'm going to continue to play it. I mean, I feel like he needs to kind of reevaluate that a little bit. If you're going to, you're under a lot of pressure, and given your lack of aggressiveness over the last few over the last season, are you really going to be a guy that's consistently going to deliver for the Dolphins in a division where obviously the Bills are good? The Jets aren't looking bad. The Patriots are coming up too. I don't think that they're going to necessarily like be super good this year, but man, that's a team. Those are teams, the Jets and the Patriots, that can definitely steal some games. And Miami, they need Tua to deliver there, or else they're going to be in a lot of trouble coming down the stretch there. Coming up with number 3, it's going to be Trevor Lawrence of the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence was also hurt last year. That's a common theme on this list. Trevor Lawrence, coming off a massive contract. He played 10 games this last season. 60.6 completion percentage, north of 2,000 passing yards, 11-7 in terms of touchdowns to interceptions, and then an 85.2 passer rating. So mediocre numbers. And this is, I mean, if you take the contract out, you're like, okay, he wasn't great, but for number 1 pick, you want more, right? And I can totally understand why you'd want that, but given his contract, and not even just his draft history, his contract is massive, and that is something that is just not going to work here for the Jaguars. I mean, granted, you added Travis Hunter, so hopefully that should take off some leverage. But Brian Thomas Jr., before I recorded this, left OTAs with a shoulder injury. Now, how that's going to affect him going into the season, I'm not totally sure, but that's definitely something that we need to watch out going for. Can Trevor Lawrence deliver with or without BTJ? Can he deliver with Travis Hunter, whether he gets gassed or not? Because keep in mind, Travis Hunter playing in a very hot state, he is probably going to get gassed very quickly. I don't care how good you are at cardio or whatever it may be. He's going to get gassed because if you're playing offense again, if you're playing defensively, I should start rather, against Nico Collins in that stadium on a 90-degree day, and then you're going on offense getting guarded by Derek Stingley, you're in for a very, very long day. I don't think he can play both sides of the ball that consistently. So given that, how good can Trevor Lawrence really be? And that's what they need to know. Can he deliver on a consistent level? You have Travis Etienne in the backfield, who has been rumored to be on the trade block. Not sure what that is necessarily, but you need to kind of answer that question. They also have the other running back who started, and he was a great red zone threat, who I'm totally blanking on his name. He was great last season in the red zone. Tank Bigsby's his name. I knew it was something with Tank. This is a team that needs to be led by Trevor Lawrence. And look, you have Liam Cohen with Duval. I'm sure his offensive system is going to work there, but I still think that there's some concerns to be raised over how good Trevor Lawrence will be this season. I'm still a little iffy on him. I think he's okay. I don't think he's a great quarterback, but he needs to be an amazing quarterback for the Jaguars to at least kind of be in consideration of the playoffs. Again, this is another team like the Dolphins. You kind of need to consider life without Trevor Lawrence, because he has shown that he is not the most reliable quarterback. Given his recent, other than the one season in 22 where he was pretty good for the most part, can this be a team led by Trevor Lawrence, who has been statistically not statistically mediocre in the NFL? Can he lead this team, or is the pressure going to be too much for him? I think that's definitely something that needs to be talked about a little bit more. Trevor Lawrence, number 3 in terms of under pressure, in my opinion, coming into the 2025 season. Next up is going to be Anthony Richardson, and I've talked about Anthony Richardson before. I talked about him last year on my video, players who you should not take in fantasy, and obviously, statistically, I was right, and these stats are ugly. They're very, very ugly. 11 games played, an ugly, horrible 47.7 completion percentage, 1,814 passing yards, 8-12 in terms of touchdowns to picks, 61.6 passer rating. These are numbers off of ESPN. I think the ESPN, how they had the quarterback rating, that's even lower, I believe. I believe it was like, I don't want to guess. I want to say it was like 35 or something like that. It was not good at all. Very, very poor for Anthony Richardson there. He needs to deliver. There's no question about it. This is a guy that needs to come through for the Colts. Can he be that guy who is able to consistently play for this team? Can he be a guy that's not going to take plays off like we saw last year? Is he going to be a good dual threat quarterback where he can finally figure out a middle ground between the run game and the passing game? That's what I don't know, because he's playing like this in Indy. I mean, that says a lot. When you're playing in Indy and you're getting this kind of media attention, that says a lot about how bad of a quarterback you've been. Go imagine if he was playing in like New York or LA. I mean, he would be getting flamed to the max. I mean, if he was a Giant and he was playing like this, New York media would be on his tail all the time, because when you're a quarterback and you can't make plays that are very simple to make that like a fifth grader can make, you've got some problems here. I mean, he has overthrown a ton of players. He has there's one play I watched a video on Anthony Richardson, and I don't remember who it was against, but it was a goal line rollout. It was a waggle concept, and he was rolling out and he threw a fade, or not a fade. There was a tight end crossing. Maybe it was Ali Cox, who I'm thinking of. He was coming across, and Richardson threw, and it was way flat, and it got picked by a defensive lineman. I mean, that is ugly. That's a very ugly pick. Obviously, statistically, he was terrible. I mean, 47.7 completion percentage. That is really, really, really bad. He had a game where he went 9 for 29. I think that was week 2 of the season. I mean, you're coming out of the gate going 9 for 29. That is horrible. That is really bad. That is lower than 33%, because 9 for 27 would be 33%. That is really, really bad. Richardson, obviously, we need to see more from him. Now, this is a team, granted, that has Shane Steichen, who was, in my opinion, one of the more underrated coaches in this league. They Downs, Pittman, they added Tyler Warren, who I love. Mo Alley Cox, like I said before, Jonathan Taylor. They have a lot of weapons for Richardson to use, but he left practice the other day because of an injury, and now they have competition, which is why he's under pressure moreover. Obviously, Daniel Jones is not going to be a guy who is going to come in and take your job. That's not what he's built for. He's going to come in and lay off some pressure, I think, is what he's more built for. I think Jones is going to be a great mentor for Richardson, saying, like, look, you're playing, you cannot take plays off. That's not something that you can do. Look, you are a player that needs to deliver. And I talked about this in the video where I talked about how the Colts are having super underrated offseason. Richardson has the tools he needs. Great system, a great stadium. He's playing indoors and he's overthrowing receivers. It's really a shame to see what he's not been able to do, I should say. I know coming out of Florida, he was super raw. I mean, he was someone who had a really high ceiling if he had the right development. And we haven't really seen him get there yet. And I think that's more on him than the coaching that he's been given. Overall, though, Richardson needs to deliver coming into the 2025 season. I mean, not even just for like normal play. I mean, fantasy-wise, he's been a disaster. Definitely one of the more underwhelming quarterbacks. Now, that ends for like the slides I had, or like the stats rather. There is one more quarterback coming into the season that has a ton of pressure on him, and he hasn't even played a snap of NFL football yet, and that's J.J. McCarthy. J.J. McCarthy, drafted number 10 by the Vikings 2 drafts ago, rather. He was supposed to be the next big thing. He was supposed to probably play under Darnold and slowly get worked, and maybe if Darnold stinks, then maybe you bring in J.J. McCarthy to kind of alleviate some pressure off of Darnold, and maybe you bring Darnold back in. But then McCarthy tore his meniscus. He tore his meniscus, and that was pretty bad. And I believe he had a setback at some point when he had to kind of go back, and he wasn't able to practice as soon as fans probably wanted him to be. But when you look at this is a team that went 14-3 last year. 2 losses to the Lions, 2 losses to the Rams, including the playoffs. Darnold, a career backup, pretty much, played like a superstar. I mean, maybe not a superstar. He played really well. He was great last season. I mean, there's no questioning that. He was phenomenal last season. Made plays they wouldn't expect him to make. McCarthy was able to learn, based on what I know. O'Connell said that he is constantly in meetings, constantly participating, which is great to hear for a young quarterback, definitely showing those levels of enthusiasm. We know McCarthy's great both ways. Dual threat. He's got good mobility. I know when I was scouting him, there are clear red flags, and I think in a system with KOC, I think they can definitely get through that. But this is a guy, you haven't even played a snap yet, and you are being relied on to bring them to the Super Bowl. That says a lot about what you're expected to be. We saw reports this past week that said the Vikings have a 3-year Super Bowl window with J.J. McCarthy. You haven't even played a down of NFL football yet in the regular season. You've only played one preseason game, and you're already being relied on to make them win a Super Bowl. That is nuts, okay? That is just bananas to be relied on like that, to have them win a Super Bowl. That really says a lot about what the Vikings expect out of JJ McCarthy. Can he deliver? I don't think he wouldn't be able to. I think it's more a question on, can he consistently provide for this team with Jefferson, with Addison, question mark, given his legal troubles. Ty Felton, who they added, I believe that's his name, from Maryland, who they've been liking a lot. Jalen Naylor, Hawkinson, Jones, they re-signed. There's guys there. Jordan Mason, too. Original dog of the week. Can't forget about him. And a great offensive line, too, and a great coach. He obviously has the tools. It's very similar to Richardson. He has the tools that he needs to indoor stadium as well. Very similar quarterbacks. They have the tools. It's just a matter of, can you apply them? Can you use them in an efficient manner to give them? And again, I don't think they need to have 14 wins. That's nuts. For a first-year guy, you don't need to come in there and win 14 games. I think if a successful season would be 10 wins for McCarthy. Can you give them double-digit wins? I mean, that is 4 wins compared to, or 14 to 10 is a massive, massive drop-off. I mean, that is a big, big drop. 2 games is a big improvement, in my opinion. I mean, just for what it's worth, 8-9 versus 10-7, that is a big difference. If you're 10-7, you are an above-average team. You are very solid. You probably made the playoffs. 8-9, you're below average, and you need more players. And sometimes those 2 wins come between, what did he make a field goal? Did the other team make a field goal? Did you fumble the ball in the last minute? Like, that's what it comes down to. I think McCarthy having 4 less wins based on a hypothetical projection, that's a big difference. But it would be enough for them to hypothetically make the playoffs in a very weak, in my opinion, at least, NFC. McCarthy, he is under pressure. He's got to deliver, because if he doesn't, then the Vikings are going to go look at other options. This is a draft where you have Arch Manning maybe coming out. You have Nussmeier from LSU. You have Sellers from South Carolina, who I love. I love Norris Sellers, I believe his name is. You have a lot of different players who are available in this draft class. Other players may be available for trade, maybe available for free agency. Definitely something to look at as we approach the season, whether or not JJ McCarthy can perform. Because if he can, then we need to have a serious conversation about where the Vikings are going to go, because we have seen them for 2 straight years. Or not 2 straight years, for 2 seasons where they had 13 or 14 wins, depending on the season you're talking about, and they were first-round exits, and that's not something that can really happen there. That's what we're going to end this episode. Make sure you guys looking at my Instagram. Again, it's Talkin Football Pod, same at on both YouTube and on Instagram. It's at Talkin Football Pod. I am starting to post there a little bit more. Again, make sure you're looking out for shorts, because it's really dry, and I'm just trying to get stuff out. So if you want to watch Talkin Football content, make sure you're looking at my shorts page for uploading there. This is Talkin Football. That's what I got to say about that.